Okay, so when we talk about cybersecurity, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Probably some slick dashboard with blinking lights, right? Or maybe complex detection rules. But way, way beneath all of that, there's something much more fundamental, and that's data. And that brings us to the elephant in the room for pretty much every security team out there today. You've got logs pouring in from servers, network telemetry from firewalls, API data from the cloud. I mean, it is coming from everywhere, and the sheer volume is it's overwhelming. And this really hits the nail on the head. We're not talking about a minor headache here. This is the central challenge. The problem is, most security tools just weren't built for this kind of data flood. They can't make sense of it at scale, and that leads to missed threats and honestly totally burned out analysts. But this is where the whole approach can change. For Stellar Cyber, the data pipeline wasn't some feature they bolted on later. Nope. From day one, it was engineered to be the absolute foundation of their entire SecOps platform. And that one distinction, that's what makes everything else, like AI-driven detections and super fast investigations, even possible. So let's just really frame this challenge. The real root cause of all the inefficiency we see in a modern security operations center, the SOC, is that most tools are just completely swamped. They're designed to collect data, sure, but they're not really designed to understand it. It's their inability to filter, normalize, and enrich that data at scale that creates all the noise that just buries your analysts. So the big question is, how do you bring some order to all that chaos? Well, it's a step-by-step process that takes that raw, messy data and turns it into a clean, high-value stream that you can actually use for security. And the whole thing starts right at the source. A lot of tools just try to centralize everything first, which is a mess. Here, data gets filtered at the edge. That means all the irrelevant noise gets stripped out before it ever eats up your bandwidth or storage. Whatever's left then gets normalized through this really powerful engine called Interflow. Now, interflow is a fascinating concept. The best way to think of it is like a universal translator for all your security data. It takes all these countless different log formats and telemetry types and converts them into one single, consistent, standardized format. And this step is absolutely crucial. It's what lets AI and machine learning work seamlessly across all your data without making your analysts become experts in dozens of different data schemas. And this is the payoff right here. Because all the data is now speaking the same language, the system can automatically connect the dots. It correlates all those individual random alerts into a single coherent story. So your analysts stop chasing thousands of alerts and they start investigating real, actionable cases. It's a total game changer. Okay, let's move on because this is where the data goes from just being clean to being truly intelligent. We're talking about enrichment, which is just a fancy way of saying we're adding critical context to every single event. And we're not just talking about one or two little data points here. No, we are layering on multiple dimensions of context, things like geo-IP data, so you know if a login is coming from a high-risk country. Real-time threat intelligence feeds to instantly flag a malicious IP. We're talking about mapping events to specific users from Active Directory, identifying the exact application being used, and even adding your own custom business context, like flagging a critical asset that needs immediate attention. And here is that powerful before and after. On the left, you've got this raw, ambiguous log. Kind of useless, right? But on the right, that same event is completely transformed. It's not just some random IP address anymore. It's a geolocated login attempt from a risky region, and it's tied directly to a known user, Jane Doe. All the guesswork is just gone. Now, this is the really crucial point. All of this enrichment happens inline, in real time, as the data is coming in. Most older systems, they try to do this after the fact, which is incredibly slow and inefficient. By doing it inline, it means that by the time an analyst even sees an alert, it's already packed with all the context they need. So let's talk about impact, because a super efficient data pipeline isn't just a cool piece of tech, right? It's what powers better security outcomes and ultimately smarter business decisions from end to end. And the impact is both immediate and measurable. Because all that context is already there, your mean time to respond to threats just plummets. Your analysts are way more efficient because alerts are automatically grouped into cases for them. And hey, since all that noise was filtered out early, your infrastructure costs go down significantly. You get full visibility from the second the data comes in to the final remediation step. This chart really makes the difference crystal clear. You look at a traditional SIEM, enrichment is slow because it happens after ingestion. The alerts are noisy and disjointed, and the architecture is often a bunch of different products stitched together. Then you look at the Stellar Cyber platform. It's fast, real-time enrichment, alerts are correlated to cases, and it's all built on one natively integrated architecture. It's a night and day difference. So to kind of wrap this all up, what really sets this approach apart? It's not just about one single feature. It's really a foundational philosophy about how you should handle security data right from the very beginning. It all boils down to these four key pillars. And these aren't just buzzwords. They're the architectural principles that really define the platform and its ability to deliver on that promise of AI-driven security. First up, its native architecture means you're not relying on a bunch of fragile third-party collectors. Second, it's got proven scalability. We're talking it can handle massive multi-terabyte per day workloads. Third, it has true multi-tenancy, which is absolutely essential for service providers and big enterprises. And finally, all of this works together to enable truly AI-driven detections, because the AI is being fed the best possible fuel: clean, normalized, and context-rich data. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about for your own operations. Data is the fuel for any modern SOC, but it's only useful if you can trust it, understand it, and act on it. So the real question you have to ask is your data just creating more noise? Or are you actually transforming it into the intelligence you need to stay ahead of the game?